exciting world of Benue television, where we give you an exclusive ride into the world of news, current affairs, and entertainment. Ready for our first?
In the 60s and years before then, and much later on, maybe about 10 years much later on, successful parenting was about education. That generation prioritized education. It didn't matter whether the children had no shoes, whether they didn't have bags, whether they didn't have books. They must be educated. And they went to school. And some from that generation turned out well because in addition to education, they prioritized morals. It was important that your child was a good person because, after all, a good name is better than silver and gold. Much later on, they said, no, education is not enough. So generations later prioritized quality education. In addition, morals. In addition, religion, or maybe spirituality. And so they sent children to schools owned by missionaries, schools owned by churches, and in addition to that, they found other environments like the Fellowship of Christian Students and so many other clubs where children belong to so that they could become successful in life. Well, that went far because that generation saw their parents as the gods they could see physically. And so when the father of the house or the mom is around, everything is at a standstill. Later on in the Gen Z, they said, no, you need to befriend these children. We're exposed to technology and we became more vocal. And some of the problems were that we had so many degrees, we have so much knowledge, we have so much exposure. However, we also have a rising case of suicide. There are so many depressed people. There are so many people with health challenges that we didn't see in the past. Now, they tell us, drop the discipline of flogging children, of spanking. You need to talk to them. You need to be their friends. They need to know about technology. They need to know coding. And so the children these days, they just pick up a tablet, they pick up something, and they can operate everything even better than some parents. And these parents are spending large sums of money on educating their children, sending them to schools that cost a huge fortune, in the hope that these children will become successful tomorrow. Well, if you have seen parenting as a jigsaw puzzle, today we are hoping to unravel it. We are hoping to get answers to how we can raise children that can be successful in life. My name is Sewe Seaga. I'll be with you after this short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. You're watching Home Porter on Benue Television Makudi. Home Porter is a program, a show that is committed to helping you out there build a home, that will stand strong. And today we are looking at how we can raise children that will be successful in life. So joining us to do that is Pastor Sidney Doyum Ahura. He's the founder and coordinator of the Fortress Youth Network. He is also the resident pastor of Revival House of Glory International, Makudi. He's married and he has children. Welcome to Home Porter.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you with us. We also have a lecturer in the Educational Foundations Department of Benue State University. He is the program coordinator, early childhood educator, and he's married with children in the person of David Teyima Yulaha. Welcome to Home Porter.
Thank you very much.
So, what does it mean to be an early childhood educator?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Being an early childhood educator, you need to have special skills. You undergo training from my place, that is from the Educational Foundations Department under the unit of early childhood education. And basically, early childhood education gives you the opportunity to have knowledge about children between the ages of 0 and 6. Now, these children are basically fragile children. They have physical needs, they have psychological needs, they have mental needs. We have decided to spread these needs in this following acronym, PILES. PILES, we could just call it PILES. P stands for physical development. The child needs to develop physically, and it takes the efforts of both the parents and the school to ensure this physical development. That is by giving them opportunity to play and see how they could exercise their gross motor skills. And also, the I stands for intelligence. Intelligence, that is the cognitive domain, the aspect of grooming children, seeing how they can get what it entails, and that comes through curriculum design. The curriculum that grooms the child from that point to where he finishes in the university. And so we also have the L. The L stands for language development. There are, children, as they are supposed to learn a kind of model, a kind of language model. What sign, what kind of language they could read, they could speak and communicate. Communication skills is very vital, and so language development also is very, very important for the children. And then we have the E. The E is emotional. Emotional. What are those things that children should do? How to relate, how to be empathy, to show empathy, how to show love, how to show social skills, and how they could relate with themselves. There are issues of bullying in our schools today, and so when children get to know how to regulate their emotions, I think it will also help the school better. And then the last one is the social, of course, but I used to term this as spiritual because I wouldn't want to use that as social. The S stands for spiritual growth, spiritual development. Every child that is born into this world will one day go to see his maker, and as such he should see how parents and school should see how they can mold this child to see how to give account of their existence in this world.
Now, I would have loved to ask you, why do you want to replace social with spiritual? Because social should be talking of interaction,
of course,
and everything. So, are you saying that?
Of course, why I said I replace the spiritual is because the emotions and some other indices that I mentioned earlier on has covered some of this aspect in social.
Okay, we'll come back to you much later.
Thank you.
So, Pastor Sidney, I saw something about camp. You organize camp for teenagers.
Yes, I do.
So what is it all about? The youth network,
Okay, well, Fortress Youth Network, we committed to raising young people who are purpose-driven, they know what their life is about, who are economically reliant, self-reliant economically. They are young people who are also purpose-driven, like I said, financially, they're standing, morally, they are upright. And so we're looking at these key things, raising young people that are able to capture these things in their life. And then one of the outreaches we have is called the Purity Project. Under the Fortress Youth Network, we have the Purity Project, and the Purity Project is the aspect that deals with sexuality. We are committed to inspiring and empowering young people onto sexual purity, and we do purity camps, and then we do purity summits. So every summer we have a purity camp that holds, where we get these young people together for 6 days and 5 nights in one environment, and we inspire them and we empower them onto a life of sexual purity. So that's what we're doing. So this come August 5th to 10th, we'll be gathering at a Baptist High School in Achusahe, Makodi, for that same camp. So it happens every summer, but we have purity summits more frequently, but the camp comes once.
Someone might be watching or listening and they ask the question, you're gathering a lot of young people that have energy these days, they want to explore, they are so inquisitive together. Don't you think that certain kinds of things that are not normal will go on there? In fact, this thing you're talking of, this sexual purity, is it not possible that some of these young people may even lose their virginities in this camp? What do you think?
Okay, I would have said, let me say, well, in a human sense, I would say it's not possible because of the measures. You see, the environment we're using is a school environment. In that same environment, students of the opposite sexes have been raised in that same environment. So it's already structured. Even the environment is structured not to permit such things. And then beyond that, we have strong measures put in place. We have rules, we have camp rules, we have camp marshals who are our security people who keep watch over the territory, and there's no room for you to sneak here and there. Anything you
under
try,
normal circumstances, that would be the case, but we have had cases of schools that take children for camps, for excursions, of
the school environment.
but with these same marshals, and some of these things happen. So
for taking people off the school environment is also a different territory. Your environment is structured. You structured your environment to get certain results. When you move into another environment that is not structured by you, then you need to put more things in check and in place to make sure that such immoral acts do not take place. If you don't, you will find yourself in a situation of things we've seen. I've also seen schools where I've heard of those things where the children were taken out and then they were not properly monitored. In fact, if I'm going to take children out in such a manner, I'll keep boys in one lodge, keep ladies in another lodge. They don't even need to be within the same space.
Not only that's
most of the times it's within the same environment.
Somehow these children still find
it's within the same environment, so it becomes difficult to monitor, because whoever is in charge will also need to go sleep sometime. So more needs to be put into such efforts so that it doesn't turn out
do you use CCTV cameras
in the school? No, we don't. We don't use CCTV. Our eyes, we are there.
So you have people who run shifts, because you said
they
someone
sleep all through the night. Yes, we have our marshals don't go to sleep like
okay, so parents can give a sigh of relief that
we've been running
bring their
years.
children for these camps. Okay, that's on a lighter note anyway. So let's get into our conversation. What does it mean to raise a successful child? Let's start with that.
Wow,
assuming that success in this sense is someone who will turn out well.
Yes.
Who will not give you high BP, who won't get into drugs, who won't turn to a scammer, who will just give you peace and joy.
First and foremost, before we look at that question, let's look at what parenting is, because it will give us more insight into what we will be discussing even further. Parenting is done by one who has a child or children. One who has a child or children. Now, parenting is raising of children. When you raise children, every parent wants to raise a good child. There is just no parent that would want his child to be wayward. And so I consider parenting as raising happy children, successful children, and those that will in turn help themselves and the society at the end of the day. That is when we refer to as, that's what you refer to as successful parenting. Because if by the end of the day someone would sit and will look at his child and say, wow, am I the one that brought up this child? You know, so he beats his chest, just like Sigmund Freud in his personality hierarchy. When it comes to that pyramid, he is now there to satisfy, he has come to a satisfaction where he doesn't need to hustle, need to put effort. He's just now reaping the benefits. And that's when you now beat your chest and say, this is my child,
in whom I'm well pleased.
Just as what God said. Yes. So that is what I consider as successful parenting. And then there are certain things that I feel that one who should have successful parenting should do. First and foremost, you should build a strong relationship with the child. What I mean by strong relationship is that you are giving the child good time as a parent. You are giving the child that confidence that you are always there for that child. And mind you, the theory of trust and distrust or mistrust, whichever way you put it, once you fail a child, the confidence the child reposes in someone starts dropping. And so every parent is supposed to ensure that if I promise my child now that I am buying biscuit for you today, I should buy that biscuit. You are building confidence. Number two, motivation. Every parent who is a sincere and good parent should always see how to motivate the children. Motivate the children in learning, motivate the children in studying, and some other positive activities that would yield to success at the end of the day. Modeling. You as a parent, you should model. You know, you stand as a model to the child. What you wouldn't want your child not to do, you should not do it as well. What you wouldn't want your child to say, you should not say it in the presence of the child. And because of that, the child now knows that there's an image that the child now has in him or her, that is either the father or the mother. And so whatever that I would want, I would do. If I'm doing this, will my father be pleased? Will my parents be pleased? And by that, you are already you are serving as a model, a true model to the child.
Okay.
You know, sometimes parents, they go to the office, they pick some things that are not theirs. They bring it home and they use. As you are doing that, the children too are also learning that, oh, it is good that I can equally take something that is not mine and then use. And there are some other social misconduct or behaviors that parents also engage in. Sometimes they would drop pills on the ground indiscriminately. The child is also seeing it. All of these little things, quarrels between the couples, you know, the children are seeing it and they are building images in their mind. They are already having a mindset about them. So building positive mindset in the child's in our children goes a long way in ensuring successful parenting. At the end of the day, you have children who are grown, who will you now pass on the positive baton into adulthood.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So, Pastor, do you tell us, there was a time when education was very important. Education is still very important,
Yes.
and when you were brilliant in school, your parents just assumed that, this child will. But very recently, we started thinking, certain people have been asking themselves questions like, okay, we had this person in school. Back then, they had A grades, they were doing very well. But now, I met this person here. I discovered that they're not doing so well in life. And some people even came out from universities with very good grades. So, how do brilliant children end up as mediocres in life?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think there could be a myriad of factors that make that possible. But I want to even start out by saying that brilliance, which we may equate to IQ, is not sufficient at all to make a successful life. You know, over time, that's why other indicators like, you know, emotional intelligence began to come in, the social quotient, the spiritual, you know, and all of that began to come in, because it became clear that it's not enough. Even back in school, some of the people who are very successful in some of the things they're doing amongst my maybe our classmates in school back then were not the people who were topping the class, you know. And so I believe that, one, brilliance is not enough basically for anybody. It's not enough to just be brilliant and be successful in life. That is not enough. Emotional intelligence is so critical. In fact, there are people who keep I heard of a man, he kept losing his jobs. They will keep sacking him because he doesn't know how to manage his emotions. He's not aware of his emotion and that of the people he's working with. He talks to his bosses anyhow he wants. Maybe you do business, you talk to your clients anyhow you want. You don't have emotional intelligence. You know, then the social aspect, you don't know how to connect and build relationships and networks. You will not be able to make progress. Then the spiritual is also so important. Listen, I believe, and many people probably, of course, in Africa, it's not difficult to believe that there is a devil out there that is trying to hinder people from making progress. So there are also cases where there are spiritual factors why people have potentials that they cannot realize. In fact, I've seen these things play out before my eyes. People with huge potentials, because you see, life is also a factor of time and chance.
Yeah.
And so if you're unable to catch your time and your chance, you realize that life can pass you by. And some of these things have spiritual connotations to them. So I believe that beyond brilliance, there is emotional intelligence, social intelligence, there's spiritual intelligence that a person needs to incorporate to be able to succeed in life.
Wow, that's a good one. We need to go on a very short break. Join us after this short break.
Benue Fashion Show Season 3 is here.
It's that time of the year for fashion designers, entrepreneurs, and fashion enthusiasts to shine.
This year, sale of forms for the competition begins from 15th April to 19th July 2024.
Pick a form at Benue Television, located at Special Duties Wing, Government House, Makudi. Form costs 5,000 naira only.
Stage 1 screening begins on the 6th of July 2024. Great prizes await you.
The first prize, 1 million naira. Second prize, 500,000 naira. And third prize, 300,000 naira. All prizes are inclusive of cash and fashion tools. Also, consolation prizes and gift items.
For sponsorship, partnership and inquiries, please call Benue TV Marketing on 0906 188 9838 or 0703 794 5569. Benue Fashion Show, embracing fusion fashion.
To have a good training, that discipline must be there at home. They have to obey their mother and their father. Because these are the people, there's a proverb in my language that what an elderly man or woman has, sit down and see. Even if a small kid climb a tree, he will still not see that thing. So when the parents are talking to them, they have to listen to the parents. They have to be obedient. And they have to keep to, in fact, now what is happening is that the influence of peers, if the parents are talking to them that they should not follow this example, they should listen to them. And not only that, all these things like courtesy that is spreading from primary school and so on and so forth today, it's peers that are influencing them to join all those things. And if from a very disciplined home, if you listen to your parents, no parents will ever allow you to join that kind of gang. And before you know, in that gang, they'll teach you how to smoke, they'll teach you how to drink alcohol, They'll teach you how to even go to herbalists to get some pass and get money very quickly, ride cars that are, in fact, even people that are working cannot afford. You want to ride that car. All those things are inculcated into the children from the home. Mostly, especially in the school, you may not find even in their moral lesson, they may not inculcate that. So every parent must wake up to do that and make sure that all the instructions they are giving, they abide by it, and then follow them up to the school. What are the type of friends they are keeping? What are the people coming home? Okay, for example, your child is coming home with a particular type of phone, iPhone and all these things, and then with clothes and all these things, and you are not the one that have bought all these things. Some parents will chicken out and say, they will not ask, my daughter, you were able to get this and that, they will just use that play. Or maybe their parents are not maybe getting enough money, and they are bringing a little out of the proceeds of what they are bringing. They will give to them, they will silence their mouth. It should not be like that. The parents should wake up. In fact, the onus lies on the parents. If your child actually fails, or if actually your child is not succeeding, bulk of the blame comes from the parents, from the home. So parents must wake up to make sure that their children are well trained. The Bible says that train a child in a way he should go, and after he has grown up, he will not depart from that way.
Bring them in the way of the Lord, because the Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And bring up a child in the way of the Lord, and that child will not depart. I know in this generation is different from our own. I used to say digital, we are analog, but I call them Indomie children. Do you understand? In those days, I was raised by my parents, by my mom. I grew up with them, but I cannot sleep till 6 a.m. in the morning. I have to get up as early as 5:30 a.m. to begin to do the house chores. And I discovered that it paid off. The business I am doing today, if I wasn't trained that way by my parents, I won't be able to cope. So one of the basic, the very foundation is to raise them in the way of the Lord. The Bible says, bring up a child in the way of, and where they grow, they will not depart.
Fear of God is the beginning of all wisdom. So if a mother understands God and knows God and then believes in God, then the wisdom that comes from God will be embedded on the inside of her. Then she will start impacting such a wisdom into the children. And then because most of the times we men were hardly at home, you understand? Notwithstanding, a father have a role to play because he is the head of the family. He has to be supervising and also be teaching them morals. Because if you did not teach them at home, they are not going to give them such wisdom in the school. In the school, they go there to learn secular wisdom. But at home, you can teach them both secular and Christian wisdom, where they can acquire. And when they grow, they will not be far from it, just as the Bible says.
Pick a good school for your ward. Don't allow your children to coerce you or force you. Mommy, I want to go to Bristol. Mommy, I want to go to Vatia. No. You are older than these wards. You know the best schools through research. So you pick. You actually have to, well, we do it with them, but you know more than them, so you guide them and say, I feel this would have been the best for you. And chances are it turns out to be good.
Welcome back from the break. We are watching Home Portal. We have been looking at how we can raise children that will be successful in life. So we listen to people, voices and opinions of people out there on the things that we need to do so that our children can turn out well. So let's go back to our conversation. By the way, do you have any comments on?
Yeah, I would like to add to some of the reasons why our children end up being mediocres. You know, one of them is lack of motivation from parents. You know, when a parent who is not always around to motivate the child, you know, the motivation itself is in different phases. are you attending to the academic challenges of the child? What are the social problems that the child is facing? Are you being able to see how to attend to them? Are you giving listening ears to the child? Sometimes children have issues they want to discuss, yet there is no listening ear. Someone is not there to give them the time. A lot of parents today are busy doing one thing and the other. Sometimes you see them operating their phones while the children are waiting for them to even respond to some questions. So some of these things are issues that really lead some children, because of that, they now go back to their shell. What they were supposed to have discussed and then settle, have some solution, they keep it to themselves. And at the end of the day, there's no solution given to that. It remains in them, and they feel that nothing else is done about that. And then another one is poor guidance. Poor guidance. When a child comes back from school, what are the kind of friends that the child is keeping in school? What have they taught you in school? What did your teacher tell you? You guide the child on what kind of relationship he's keeping, he or she is keeping. You guide the child on what are the things that somebody said to him or her, and what were the responses he gave to that person. So by that, you are already guiding the child in the right way, in the right perspective. Sometimes parents coerce children into career choice. Career choice, you are not looking at the skills or the talent in which the child has within him or her. You are only looking at what benefits that maybe the child, when he goes through this profession or what career whatsoever the child may end up being. You are not looking at what potentials that lies in the child. And so some of these things also make children or individuals end up being useless in the society. I don't mean to use that word. And some, you see, they end up being in gangs, cult members, armed robbers, bandits, and whatsoever. So all of this, I would like to add also that there are distractions, social distractions. Today we have the social media and even the television. There are certain things that the children even watch without the guidance of the parents. They watch these things either on phones, on YouTube, and the rest of them. So I think these are some of the things that causes children to become mediocre in life.
Okay. So for someone who is saying, I've done all of this for my child, and remember that we're talking about children or people who are brilliant.
Yes.
Teenagers who are brilliant. Yes. So it means that this person already prioritizes education.
Yes.
And brilliant people usually spend a lot of time reading.
Yes.
That means that socially, they may not even be keeping bad friends. So is it safe to say that the environment can also contribute to this? Because these days, there's a class of parents that believe that they must send their kids to schools abroad. Just like one of the persons that spoke there, he was saying that parents should send their children to good schools. And he said his father sent him to a very good school. He went abroad, he came back, and he's doing very well. So do you think that the environment, to what extent does the environment contribute to the success of a child?
Your environment contributes makes huge contributions into your outcome in life, because we're a product of nature and nurture. All right, nature, okay, our giftings, those things we're born with naturally, we can excel at. That's nature. But nurture, our environment of upbringing, it contributes nurture, and I believe that your environment can totally neutralize your capacities. Your environment, you can be raised in an environment that is toxic, an environment that damages your self-confidence, and then an environment that also projects negative things as right. We have a society in Nigeria today where things that are wrong are celebrated. I remember when we were growing up, we had a neighbor that was sacked from the civil service, from the Benue State Civil Service, for that he stole government money. And probably the money we're talking about was not anything major. Today, who gets sacked for stealing money? Today, people steal millions and billions. They can go and collect utensils in their villages. They do, so they become models. They become the people that society celebrates, because as long as you have money, that's what is important. So we are raising children in this environment that projects these possibilities, and these things can bite, because people see, like for example, our politicians. Look at what our politicians get paid. And then people go to school, become maybe lecturers. Lecturers are always striking, trying to just get basic things done. Or teachers. And they don't get. And they see the politicians sit, some of them who didn't go to school, and then just have things working for them. And then, so young people are seeing these things and are saying, so what's they say, now they tell you school is scam.
Yeah, we have someone saying she wants to request for her school fees.
Or
how many years so she can use it.
I feel it's a waste of time, because it is the environment that is projecting these images to people. So it takes more strength to go against the odds. For example, without power supply, how much power supply do you have available? These things impact on human development. Healthcare. I mean, how good are the schools that we're talking about that we have around? These are the possibilities of our environment. Our environment gives us limits what is possible.
What is even the ratio of children per teacher? What is supposed to be the ratio of students
5 pupils to 2 teachers even now.
Okay, that's for early, for younger. Okay.
25 pupils to 2.
Yes, 1 teacher and 1 teacher assistant.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Now when you now go to the university level, what we have in our schools is a mess, where you have thousands of students, just cluttered into one small space.
And talking of the environment, even our learning environment,
it's a challenge. So these things,
atmosphere,
yes,
the facilities available,
yes,
the conditions, and
so much. So your environment truly impacts you. I have a cousin out there who lives out there, and he interacts with me and tells me, my brother, I don't think this environment is good for you. you shouldn't be here. Because truly environment can limit you. But also not to put away all the responsibility on just the environment. It requires you to do more to produce the same result that you would have gotten. I've seen people who can't even count them amongst intelligent people, go out there and do outstandingly in the schools out there, and I'm wondering what happened. They went to a different environment that they didn't need to do so much to produce outstanding results. Here they were stretched. But on the good side is that this environment positions us to succeed anywhere. If you don't allow the environment to defeat you, and you put in your best and you rise above the limitations that exist, you become a hard nut to crack anywhere in the world. That's why Nigerians are so outstanding all over the place. Why? The environment trains them to be resilient. So though it's negative in some ways, but you can turn that to your good. That's one of the things that makes for a successful life. Personal responsibility. If I just say because the environment is this way, that's the way I am, people in that same environment are producing outstanding results. So I can't.
Okay, I want you to hold on to that thought, because in this environment,
yes,
there are still different grades of the environment.
Yes.
Now, you have the environment where the child is living.
Yes.
You have the environment where the child is learning. That's in school.
Yes.
Now, some people are living in some environments. Well, let's say maybe these ones they call face me, I face you.
Yes.
Some ghettos.
Yeah.
Now there are children that grew up in the ghettos, and some of these parents will say, well, this is what I can afford for now.
Yes.
And then they are growing up, and maybe your children have a neighbor.
Yes.
These neighbors, the kids go out to hawk.
Yes.
They come back, they play around, they pick things, they pick pockets, they do all that, and you're raising your children in that environment. Then for another child, maybe it's the school environment. the child is going to a school where, like you said, it's supposed to be 25 kids to 2 teachers.
Yeah.
Maybe there are 50 in the class.
Yes.
And maybe they just have a few teachers, and these teachers are not even well paid.
Yes.
And they don't have enough writing materials. Some of our public schools are not nothing to write home about.
Yes.
And maybe the child is going to that kind of a school. And the child has dreams, the child has potentials, but he has found himself, when he goes back home, he goes to this ghetto.
Yes.
When he goes to school, he goes to this school that the environment is not. What would you say to parents on being deliberate about the kind of environment? Let's look at the Nigerian environment. What should they choose? Looking at the profile you spoke about, the five means.
Yes.
The last one he said was social, which he termed spiritual. Because you know that some of this environment, even spiritually, they are not healthy.
Yes.
How can I, as a parent, choose an environment to raise my children so that they can be successful?
Okay. Let me say something. There's a principle of insulation. Insulation is such that you can be in a place but not be of that place. You are shielded from the effects of that place. Because I'm saying this because some parents, you can't go beyond your means. Sometimes it is the means that the parents have that have trapped them within that space.
Yeah.
But you can insulate your children emotionally, by creating possibilities beyond where you are. Okay, for example, I live in Macaulay for now, but I don't want my children to live and have just a Macaulay mindset of life. So I make sacrifices to always, once in a while, move them out of this environment, expose them to a bigger environment bigger than them, and then it motivates them. They know that life is beyond where we are. And there's something again, I said, look, no matter, you may be living in poverty, but don't teach your children poverty.
How do you do that?
And I'm going to say something about that. And this is a deliberate thing you will do. It's going to cost you. But you're going to make certain choices. And how you talk to your children will teach ingrained poverty in them or not. For example, if my child tells me to buy maybe something I feel is a luxury, I won't tell them things like, you think money grows on trees? You don't see, we are not among the rich, or we are poor. No, I can never say that. I don't say that to my children. I may tell them, well, sometimes it's even little things, but maybe I don't have the money on me on that time. I say, okay.
Maybe toys.
Well, yes, of course, a lot of those kind of
Mostly
things.
toys.
Sometimes I tell them, okay, well, we can't get that now. Okay, or sometimes I tell them, let's believe God for it. But to tell them that we can't have it, why can't we have it? Okay, we may not be able to have it now. So, okay, well, let's do that later. Okay, let's work towards that. Or let's believe God for it. Come on, you can pray and God will give it to you. Don't you know that? But I won't tell them, no, we are poor. Hey, we cannot be talking about those kind of things. We cannot afford those kind of, I can't say things like we can. I don't say that to my
So
children.
you shouldn't tell your child that you cannot afford
No, I
something.
can't say that to them. And why would I tell them I can't afford it? That's not the issue. We can believe God for it. We have a God that can do things for us that are beyond. There are many things I have that till now, if I was going to afford them, I wouldn't have them. But you know what? God has given them to me. So I teach my children to trust God, not just to look. I'm not their source. From early childhood, I want them to know that I'm a channel through which God provides for you. But beyond me, God can do things for you. And my children have that possibility. They dream. They talk of big things. Big things.
So they encourage children to dream.
Oh, sure, you should. Oh, wow. Stir them up. Tell them to think big. Let them dream beyond what they have. But for right now, we're believing God for another house. And they would discuss the kind of house, what it should be. They bring their ideas. Do I have the money on me right to build a house? Oh, where is it? It's in the realm of the spirit. But I teach them that this thing, see, we can believe God and doors open and we can do things that may seem beyond our present means. So I teach them possibility.
Okay, so that is for the mindset now. Remember that we are in this ghetto. Yes. We have neighbors, their children are not schooling.
Yes.
We have maybe people who even defile children.
Yes.
We have them using curse words and their language is not. So how do you insulate a child in that environment? It's I know that it's things that it has happened. In the Bible we have the example of Samuel. Samuel grew up in an environment that
he was not contaminated.
Yes, but he was not contaminated.
Yes.
Now, how do you insulate children and raise them that tomorrow they'll be successful and they can say, I came out of the ghetto.
Okay.
And this is who I am.
I even have examples of it. But I also want to say he said something very important about building a relationship with your children. That relationship is a shield. When you have intimate relationship with the children, close relationship with them, you don't shut them down. You allow them speak. You allow them express themselves. When people say things to them, they will come back to you and say, this person said this to me. My children do that. They will say, this person said, this person did this. I will say, what did you do? How did you respond? Then we will now counsel. I say, look, this is how you respond to this kind of thing. You can't insult my children. In my presence, no, it's going to be a problem. Don't use cross words. Oh no, I will. Oh yes, I will, because you are attacking their future. So I'm not going to allow you to talk them down, to bully them, to make them feel inferior. I'm not going to allow that. So it's first going to be a study. Anybody within that space, from living in the ghetto, you will know that you don't insult this person's children. Because I'm going to fight for my children. I will stand up, because I've done that. If you try to do stuff, do anything that I feel is damaging to my child's emotion and to their mind or what, I will stand up to you. You will know that you will not try that again. Okay, so I've confronted schools. I've done that. I will. Because there are things that you don't do to my child. One time, my child was, I saw a wound. My child told me of a wound on his hand. Now, what happened that he didn't get the right score. He didn't score high enough in the test, and so he was beaten with a ruler, and there was a wound. Oh, boy. I said, no. I went respectfully, but I sat there, I spoke to the authorities. I said, don't do that. I said, hey, he didn't score high enough. I said, so what? If you beat him, will he score higher? No, he won't. He's even going to become even afraid of failing. And that fear can close the mind. I said, I would rather have a confident child than a child that just passes has high grades. Because to have high grades, if you're not confident in life, you will be a failure.
Wow. Okay, let's hear from you.
Yes, to add to what you have said, you encourage growth and positivity in the child. In as much as the child is living in an environment that is maybe abusive or coercive, you still encourage growth. You don't even need to look at the grades which the child is bringing back home, but look at what the child has, and then see how you can equally help the child to overcome those grades, those poor grades that the child is bringing home. You also set some goals for the child. Set goals, yes. You set goals. What are those goals? What do you want the child to become? You tell the child, this is what I want you to become. If you could go this way, this is what you end up being in life. And so when the child has such goals, he or she will start working towards actualizing or meeting those goals. And then another one is to develop a study habit. You develop the children, encourage them to develop study habits. Sometimes you just give them text to read. Read this text and let me know what is inside, what you gained from it. And then give them some routines. Within that environment, as these routines are being, you're giving them routines, there are certain things that you'll be doing within those time frame, and that will not perhaps give them room for distractions. And so giving them routines is another issue, is another aspect that parents can equally do. Then you also foster love for the children, just as I had earlier said. Whatever thing that the child is going through, see how you can bond with the child, go through with that child in whatever circumstance the child is passing through. Sometimes he comes back home from school, emotionally, has some kind of depression. See how you can encourage the child, and equally show the child some positive examples, even in the ghetto. Yeah. There are people who have lived in ghettos and yet they are successful in life. Yes. They are Okonjo Iwealas. They were not born elsewhere. They were born in Nigeria here. And you mentioned a lot of names. People, models that you can equally present to the children. Yes. Irrespective of the environment, they made it in life. Mikel Obi is a star footballer. He came out, he grew up in a ghetto, and so there are lots of examples that you as a parent, you keep on encouraging the child, and you see the child will balance in his academic performance as well, and become a better person, even in that kind of environment.
That's a good one. We need to go on another break very shortly. We'll be back after this short break. come back from the break, we have been having a motivating and interesting conversation on how we can raise children that will be successful in life. And just before the break, they were telling us of how that the environment influences how children turn out.
Yeah.
Despite that, in the ghetto, it's still possible to raise children that will be successful, and there are measures that parents need to put in place. So because of our time, let's go over to role models. We spoke about role models and we mentioned a few. For some young people these days, their role models are those that are wealthy, those that have a lot of money and they're flashing on social media. Let's even talk about that. Is it wrong to desire that wealth and that kind of a person as a role model? Hourglass figure, tall, dark and handsome, CEO, entrepreneur, making lots of money as a role model. What kind of role models should we present to our children? And how important is it to do that?
Okay, role models are very important. In fact, in our generation today, it's difficult. Parenting has become more complicated because of the social media. Children are under influences that are beyond you. Before now, parents were just authorities. What you said, that's all there is. Now people are interacting with millions of people across the globe, and so role models become important because when the person you look up to, you can tend to reproduce that result. That is what you are seeing as the image of success. So it's important to choose an image that is not just popularity, not just wealth. We must let our children know that the process is more important than just the outcome. So so you direct them to people that have a track record. In fact, the Bible says something in Hebrews chapter 6. It says, "Be followers of them who through faith and patience obtain promises," not just overnight result. People who have a track record, of success, not just somebody who is here today and tomorrow we don't know where they are. So if you follow a track record, so you will direct our children to people who have a track record, people who don't just have a result, but the process is commendable. So I think it's very important to do that, to point them in the right direction. Or else left to young people, they like hype, they like steez, like they call it, and all kinds of, they just want that flower. If somebody you have millions of followers on social media, then you are an influencer, you are a model, they want to be like you. But we need to teach them that just being popular is not enough. What are you popular for? What is the positive effect you're bringing to life and to society? So let's point them in that direction. Let's be involved. But you may not even know until you ask them, what are your role models? If you have engaged with your children, ask them, then you can hear them talk, and then you'll be able to guide them into people that will be of better influence upon their life.
Okay. So, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes. When we talk about role modeling, you as a parent, you would want your children to behave the way you behave. There are some children that say, I want to be like my father.
Yeah.
You don't even need to point to other models, other role models. You as a father or as a parent, your child would want to, if it's a female child would want to marry someone like her father. What does her father do? My father is this, my father loves, my father cares, my father is always there for me. And so I would want to get married to someone who is always there for me as well. So modeling is just a duty for every parent. Every parent to be that good model. Show by character, by disposition, whatever thing that you would not want to, as I earlier had said, that the children shouldn't do it in their presence. So by that you are already being a model. And then the overall is Christ. Christ is our role model. That we should look unto him. We should follow his steps. So when we introduce Christ in our families, and then children also look unto Christ, follow his steps, that's the model for which every human, one who wants to become successful in life, would follow.
Okay, very quickly, because of your field, I would want you to help parents understand there is something about the generation having followers, wanting to get a lot of likes, another. I believe that there is a need that doing that feels. What can parents do to fill that need? Is there something else that can fill that need instead of what the social media does?
Yes, the need, parents are supposed to, look at how they can foster some spirit of independence in the children. Children are supposed to act independently, create a way of how they can think creatively, think even without any assistance. These are the issues that we are having today. The Gen Z world, children want to make fast money, quick money, and the rest of them, they want to have a number of likes, want to have a number of followers on Instagram and Twitter, TikTok, X rather, and all of that. But the most important thing is that parents are supposed to always watch whatever the children are doing. They should fill in the gap, because for a parent who fails to achieve these things will later on regret why he even brought that child to life. So for me as a parent, I would want my children to be the best individuals, the best citizens, for which I also am modeling them to be.
Okay, thank you for that. So let's have your counsel finally, and maybe a tip on how we can cultivate this independent thinking in children.
Okay, it's so important to do that, independent thinking. And one of the ways you can do that is to ask children questions. When you interact with them, ask them questions. And don't mock their results. Don't make them feel your answer is stupid. They're children. Allow them, create an environment where they express themselves. Then, or beyond asking them questions, you also allow them ask you questions. You see, create that atmosphere of interaction. Look, ask me questions, I can ask you questions, and allow you think. You put them in challenging environment. There are times when my children will come to me, maybe if they had a game they were playing, and when the game gets too tough, they don't want to play again. You see, it's too tough. I don't want to do it. But I said, no. You go beat it. All right, go beat it. You can do it. Go and think of ways. How can I overcome this? And so they go crack their head and sometimes come with results. I had a phone one time that got bad, and they dropped it, and they said, I said, the phone is bad. They said, but can we see how to make it work? I didn't even believe they could. I said, go try. So you allow them, and they thought, and finally they have been getting it work to a good extent. I thought it was damaged. They found their way around it.
You opened the phone?
Yeah, they did it, and they played around. How old is it? 11 and 9, and so they were able to like I allowed them take up challenges. So you think of what. Sometimes they come with issues that I should be able to solve. But I say try. When they bring their assignments home, I don't just I just write it for you, go and do it. No, I'll say first do all the ones you know. And the ones you don't know, bring them to me. So you have to first engage your mind, and then sometimes even the ones they don't know, I will now do some. I'll say, okay, use this example, go do the rest. So I don't allow your mind go dormant. You have to think. So I give you opportunity to think and engage by yourself, and then your mind is developed to think.
So your final advice to parents on this?
Parenting is a big job. It's the hardest job you're going to do. I believe is the most challenging task you will undertake. And so let's keep reaching out to God for strength in prayer. You need to cover your children in the place of prayer, because you can do all that you do, but you can never do enough. You need the hand of God to help you to get your children right. And then also you need to develop yourself. I attend parenting meetings. I read parenting books, or else you just parent by default. Just do what your parents pass down to you. Do the same thing to your children, and it won't work. So seek avenues to grow, learn, go to school. If you need to take a degree in that area of child psychology, whatever, do something, read a book, attend a program, attend a seminar, and grow your parenting skills.
Wow, thank you so much. We have been listening to Pastor Sidney Doyum Ahura, the founder and coordinator of the Fortress Youth Network. He's also the resident pastor of Revival House of Glory International. We also listen to David Teima Yulaha, a lecturer in Educational Foundations, Benue State University, and also an early child educator. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this evening.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's our package for today. We hope you picked something. The basic is that the environment doesn't matter. What you're doing in that environment is more important. And from me, I wish you a successful life. Have a wonderful evening and bye for now.
Stop. Ride with me. For Benue Television.
Our news and flagship program, Daybreak Benue, keeps you informed on events and happenings around the nation and the world.
We engage our guests on hot topics and beam searchlight on shady stories.